What was that?
An ad. Man, this is ridiculous.
Okay, does everybody see a monkey? Hold on, I got one other person saying they don't have video either. George.
Brian.
Sorry, Brian. How did you become George today? What the fuck is going on?
I don't know, man, but you've never called me George.
I don't know. It's so strange. I think I've got like too many processes going on.
Well, this is frustrating as hell right now. Log out. Log in.
Your Skype is at least not.
When I see the thumbnail for your broadcast,
it's
the monkey
updated.
thing.
Yep.
Okay, so when I click on that, it just says loading video at the bottom, and nothing happens. It says live.
Okay, so I've got video going on. I can see it on my iPad. What are you doing, Brian? What's going on?
Well, when I opened up the Safari, it said that I needed to install Adobe Flash Player in order to see the chat.
Oh, that will also fuck up your video. Do you have Chrome?
I was on Chrome originally.
Oh, that's strange.
I know, that's... I usually use Chrome because it figures all that shit out.
Yeah, hold on, I'm gonna go get some coffee. Yeah. Matt says he's on Chrome, works fine for him.
Do I need to, like, update Chrome or something?
I'm not sure. I don't know, Reggie.
Do I need to be on OS X Yosemite at this point?
Are you still on OSX crap shit lion fuck?
Sure.
Sure.
I think.
I don't know. It shouldn't be. Should be fine. Who's Edible Expedition?
That's me.
Okay, that's you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that like your new screen name?
It starts going for like a brief second.
Uh-huh.
I've got the picture on here, and it just goes back to the spinning wheel in the middle.
So Matt says he's got no problem.
I know, I don't
still
get
see
it.
the monkey, 2 in the top right corner. You just move the monkey.
No, it went back to a gray screen.
Is it? Is your bandwidth getting soaked up by Skype?
Let me see. I'll test it. Let me just jump off.
Okay. Do you have an iPad?
No.
I was gonna say try it on your iPad or try it on your phone. Oh. You're right, Matt. That's very, very arcane and archaic of me to keep typing while you're when you can just hear me. Okay. All right. Brian, you there? Lee. Talking fucking Lee. That's actually me on my phone, Matt. My phony phone. Yeah, I'm talking right now. Are you getting any sound? Hey! Josh, it's you. What about video for you, Josh? Oh my god, this is going to be an exercise in like ADD, getting this going. Alrighty. Okay, feel free to chat back at me if you need me to zoom in or do something so you can see something better, or highlight, or if I go too fast. Brian, why don't we just jump back on Skype, kill your Twitch view window, and it looks like other people are getting it, no problem.
Hello?
Hey.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, like, Josh is seeing it, Matt's seeing it.
The only thing is I won't have my video on there for some reason. I think the video was bogging it down, but now it's not working again. The Skype must be killing it.
Yeah, I think it's probably hogging bandwidth. Yeah, I mean, up to you. Do you want a picture-in-picture video of you? I think it's kind of cool because then people can see who's asking questions. And I can also see...
Maybe Google Hangout?
Do you want to try Google Hangout?
Well, it's working. Hold on, I don't want to count my chickens here, but it's working right now.
Brian, why don't we just jump back on view window, and it looks like other people are getting it, no problem. I'm getting your audio. Yeah. So, like, Josh is seeing it, Matt's seeing it. The only thing is, I won't have my video on there for some reason. I think the video is bugging it down, but I'm working again. Skype must be killing it. Yeah, I think it's probably hogging that.
Is that how I sound? That's terrible.
How do you want to start a hangout?
Yeah, let me do that. You're in.
See if that works. You want to kill Skype and just invite me to the hangout?
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, get Twitch on your phone and test it that way. And then we can just Skype. Because it's 10 o'clock. Let's just get going. Know what I'm saying, Brian?
Overview of this game that you're trying to create?
I will, and I'll go full screen with it for a second. So, actually, I pulled this image off of drawshop.com, which is a vector art warehouse kind of a place. Anyway, so I had this, I was thinking, like, man, I want to make something simple. I want to make something that's really just one-tap gameplay. But the concept came to me that the most annoying thing in life right now is ads.
right? Because they're so invasive there in everything that you do. I was like, let's make a game where the ads are the bad guy. And so the idea was like, basically, behind one door is nothing. Behind a second door is some tokens or some reward, and then behind the third door is an ad that pops up on your screen, and then you can pay tokens to get rid of it. So there's a miniature economy going on, where basically you feel like you have a 1/3 chance to be able to progress forward, a 1/3 chance to be penalized and progress forward, and a 1/3 chance to get rewarded and move forward. And so it feels like there's this equal chance all the way around. And so basically after you click through and you get your result, you get 3 more doors with the results randomly mixed. So, that's really the idea. And then I added this devil guy because I realized that if I did this, people might hate me personally. So I had to come up with a character so that people would, wrap their head around, what's the right word? Sublimate the emotions towards a character as opposed to towards me. And so...
misdirect their hostility somewhere else.
Yes, exactly. So, and then I thought, let's just go ahead and take that all the way and make it a devil, and you're basically trying to escape hell by clicking through these doors. And
so
then
this art looks very cool. Did you do this yourself?
No, I pulled this devil guy off of drawshop.com.
Okay, cool.
And that's one of the resources that I jump into to get either free or cheap art.
Okay.
There's a few of those. I'll actually compile a link somewhere, but generally if you do a search for indie game art or free 3D models or free vector in Google, you'll come back with a few different repositories. And so, okay, cool. I usually have an idea before I go there what exactly I'm looking for.
Right.
Sometimes I just do a Google search. Sometimes it's basically... Actually, that's how I found this. I did a Google search for devil business and something or other, and then I was like, oh, Draw Shop, I could just actually go buy this vector art, right?
That devil means business for sure.
Yeah, that's right. He looks pretty happy. So also, you'll notice here that I'm in Keynote, and so now I start to do, since I'm sort of mobile focused, it's not the right aspect ratio, but it's a nice way for me to quickly mock things up, right? One of the things that's missing here is actually, to me, let's do this. I'll actually hide this one out. Oh, hold on. I just hit Command D, by the way, to duplicate the slide, right? And then basically, if I wanted to do something like what the transition for this is, I'll actually go into it and then turn this into something like, right? And so if I can take this as far as I want, as far as how this prototype's going to go and what the flow is going to be, right? But I think what I want to do is, let's see if I can do this.
Chris, would you mind sharing your screen with me on Skype? Could you do that?
Sure.
I might just turn off the Twitch because I would be on a delay.
Oh, you're on the delay right now? You know what?
I'm on a delay for the Twitch, not on the Skype. Like, I can hear you, but I'm 20 seconds behind what you're actually doing. I don't know if you could share the screen on Skype and then...
Yep. Hold on a second. Let's try
Sorry
this.
to interrupt.
No, it's okay. Where is that? Is that...
It should be...
I should be able to share my screen, right?
Yes, definitely. Anybody out there in the audience know how to share a screen? It'd be a good time.
Oh, conversations. Got it.
Right click on your current calls. Underneath current calls there's a call with the clock on. There you go. And then right click and then hit share screen.
Yep. You got it. All right, how you doing there? You got it? Put you back up in the corner. How's that look?
It's just no video, right? Maybe you need to click your video button at the bottom there, too. There's a little camera icon.
Okay. Right. So now,
yeah, I see you. I just don't see your screen.
Try this again.
This is a good first episode, by the way.
Yes.
We're learning. We're going. Okay, now I see Leon huge.
It's fantastic.
All right, yeah. I think if you just minimize that the Skype screen, and then I'll be able to see the.
How's that?
There we go. Now we're ready to go.
All right, right on. Oh, Matt, that's not true. You can share anything via Twitch that you think is not interesting because it's you, and I'm sure you'll find some viewers. It's just a matter of how far you're willing to go. Anyway, okay, so let's get started on this. So, actually, this is a good place for us to start, Brian. So, there's one thing that I always do ahead of time, and I usually do this on paper. And you'll see some of these on my blog. I keep a blog mainly so that I can I take pictures of my paper notes, and I post them to my blog so that I can go back and reference them later.
Cool. Great idea.
And one of the things that I do is like basically I subscribe to the sort of to the essence and pillars process. So when what's the X statement or the essence of what I'm trying to make, and then what are the three things that it should accomplish, right? So if we were going to do this for 3 doors, let's just call it this one. I would do. Let's actually change this to numbers. Actually, I won't change it to numbers. It doesn't matter. So, adds of the enemy, fast.
These are 3 basic themes that this game is going to hit, or this application is going to hit.
Correct. And
the main like top level stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And I think so this is not something I would necessarily share with the player, which is usually what I try to make the pillars about. But for me, this one is actually
correct.
Okay, so I wanted to find also that this is a nice thing about that is if I'm going through doors at 1 per second, then essentially I have an opportunity, or at least as a game maker, I have a 1/3 opportunity to show an ad. And so it's kind of interesting because, like I said, remember earlier I said I wanted to add Satan as the sort of displacement of anger is because my relationship with the user or the player is direct in this case, right? So if I were to make this a board game, it would look something like it would be a shell game, right? It's 3-card Monty, right? So like I'm essentially saying, I'm going to screw you with one of these. One of these is nothing, and the other one is the ace, right?
Find the red queen. Find the ace.
Absolutely. So let's call this. Let's see. To me, that's the essence of this. It's mobile 3-card Monty.
MONTE.
Whoops. 3-card money. Money, 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 money.
I think 3-card money too. Man.
Right?
Yep, there you go.
Or Monty, like Carlo. Anyway, it's so it's mobile 3-card Monty, basically, right? And so like the fantasy of this, none of this is ever going to be consumer facing, right? You and I can talk about this, and we can talk about this on Twitch, and it's one of those things where we'll say like, what is this game actually? And the fantasy of what this is probably more interesting to the consumer, which is like, oh, I gotta escape hell, and right, like they'll pick up subconsciously on what these pillars are, and etc. Like no problem, right? So you don't have to come out and say this stuff to the player. So, basically they know what they're signing up for. At some point, I'd be surprised if I showed this game to somebody who plays a lot of mobile apps. And they spent 20 seconds with it. They would say, wow, it's like 3-card Monty, right? And like, wow, and ads are the enemy. Or at least, if we're successful in what we're building, that's the result. Is they come back with, it's like 3-card Monty, and like adds of the penalty or the enemy, right? And fuck Satan, that asshole, right? Because then like that's where the disconnect is. That's where we shift blame to the fantasy as opposed to me, right?
Right.
So instead of standing on the street doing 3-card Monty, I've basically put on a devil mask, and I'm doing 3-card Monty. So let's get into actually, let me do one last thing, because I think let's duplicate this. I'm going to try and do everything with right clicks so that people can see what I'm doing instead of doing hotkeys. And if I do hotkeys, I'll try and call them out for you.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Because I realize that I do things.
Right now we're in Keynote still.
Yeah,
right?
we're still in Keynote. Actually, I'm going to do this.
So now, are you able to take these elements that you're building in Keynote and use them in the final product?
No, I don't. I probably could if I worked hard at it, but it's faster for me to do it in Photoshop and save it into a format that
right.
that is more efficient or ready to go. So this is probably more like what the game screen looks like, and then let's add a. So there's a couple of things I'm doing here that I'm making decisions about. The goal of the game is to get through 10,000 doors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know what the reward is, but I'll have to figure that out.
I agree with Matt Lee here saying that Satan is less annoying than grow your penis 3 times with these pills ads.
This is true, but now you can blame Satan for giving you the grow your penis 3 times with the pill ad.
That's the one that's been sending those to you, Matt.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He's behind it all. Here we go. Let me do this one. This is. Let's just call this. Let's be optimistic and say that you've got 15 tokens. And then I think we basically have our game screen here. Right? Or at least what we want it to be. Like, now I've got the full image of how I want it to go, right?
Much easier to see it visually like this.
Yeah, and you can kind of understand what the game screen's going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, let me do... So I'm hitting the Command D, which is duplicate, but I'll just do it by mouse here. Then I think what we need to do is here, I'll do... Where's the format window? Do that. Let's change this to, let's say green. We'll just make that the green one, right? Result.
So just an empty door?
Yeah. And you can see, like, I'm not going to go through this the whole way because I think it's maybe not that great for the viewers at some point. But you can see I can, like, mock up almost all of my gameplay screens here, just to sort of even organize how I want things to eventually show up, right? This one will be like tokens. Wait, did that not? Oh, okay. It's just a shitty color. Yeah.
You should be behind that door.
Right. It probably is. Okay, so there's tokens and then
ads. Or add, right?
Let's add, right. White, bold. Okay. Oh, it gave me bullets for that. Okay, that's why. Okay, does everybody get that? Is everybody with me? Okay. So now let's go over to Unity and start talking about how we're going to do this, right? So George, you have a little bit of Unity. Right. I have a 3 doors project. Let's just go open that up.
I'm still Brian.
Sorry, Brian. Oh my God!
Yes, I have. I should open up a new.
Yeah, you should open up a new Unity. We're gonna do a couple of things.
Is that a new scene then? Sorry, I don't mean to be like totally.
No, that's okay. So like, I just created a new project called 3 doors, and it's basically the default scene. I did not add any assets in here. So one of the reasons why I do that is I know I'm probably going to need lights and some other sort of standard prefabs, but I don't want to make that decision until I get more of a structure going. And then
you want the defaults to be 3D?
Yes, choose the default to be 3D.
And then create project?
Yeah, here, you know what? Let me start a new project and I'll just show you. New project. Let's call this Twitch example project. You'll see it's in my user folder. Set the defaults for 3D or 2D. I have so many packages now that it's just not even worth me going through this rigmarole, right? Because I don't need them right away anyway. Okay, I'm just going to set it up. So, create that project.
You can add those after the fact then?
Say what?
You can add those packages after the fact?
You can. So, like, once you sort of, I'm going to show you how to use the asset store today. So, and once you get comfortable with that, I don't even bother with this initial setup. I just start empty, and I start to sort of flesh things out, right?
Right.
So.
Do you name the scene anything different than the project file, or is there a reason you do that? Because the way I see scenes is how I'd see a composition in After Effects. That's kind of my reference right now.
Yeah, so like, basically think about it this way. The project contains all of the potential clay you're going to put into your sculpture, right? And the scenes are like a sequence of pieces. So you can have one scene load another scene, right?
And like scenes within scenes, like nest them in.
Yes. So, actually, you can't do scenes within scenes.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so, unless you run a separate process and then have it in a window, right? But at that point, like they won't embed in that way. So basically, your scene is, a small container for your project. Hold on, I'm gonna get more coffee.
Sure.
So, yeah. You're doing a great job asking me these questions, Brian, because the thing is I take a lot of this crap for granted.
Yeah. And as far as I've gotten Unities, I've put images in there and I've played switching between the 2D and the 3D mode, and it looks cool.
Right. Okay. So I'll explain all of this as I go, right? So you see that there's nothing in this assets folder down here? Right. So this is my project area, right? Mm-hmm. And your project is basically all the assets that you have access to, right? One interesting thing, you see this find bar over here?
Yes.
Okay, watch this. Monkey. And then this tab here, Asset Store, it'll show you what's in the Asset Store. So
wait, what did you type in that bar?
So I typed monkey into the search field, right? Or let's just call it. Actually, give me a random noun.
Hat.
Hat. Okay. So over here under search, it says assets, and it's looking in my asset folder, right? If I had another folder in there, it would show up here. But you can also go and look on the asset store, and it has them divided by free assets, which is this field here. And then down here, paid assets, right? So one of the things I can do right now is like, oh, there's a crappy party hat. Let's drag this into my scene, right? I think that's how this works. Let me see.
I could take it.
Oh, there we go.
Drag this into my scene.
Yeah, actually, it's underneath your face. Let's drag it over. Is import package, right? So I can hit import.
Okay, so I click on that. I hit import package.
Yep.
And then you gotta.
And then it should start loading it over here, right? You see this this progress window.
You need to log in, I guess.
You do need to log in. Yes, mine just auto logs me in. I'm not forgetting about the chat screen. I'm just popping over every once in a while. Okay.
Yeah, there's no chat. I'm checking on that too. Maybe I need to create an account. Did I not do that yet? Maybe I didn't connect to the asset store yet.
Oh.
So you can just move on to what you're doing. I can do this
okay.
while you're...
So I am importing these assets into my scene now. And if you watch... there was my pinwheel of death. So it's importing everything in the 2 million user party pack. Right? But you'll also see down here under hat, which is a super generic field, there's 1,006 total paid assets down here.
Tons of them.
Right? So there's plenty of ways to sort of browse this store. So you can actually look, using this thumbnail view, and you see this little slider bar down here? Like it's at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, you can make your thumbnails really big so you can actually get a better look at the different assets, right? Oh, look at that sweet glowing purple leather hat.
Yeah.
It's like, in fact, look at these three hats right next to each other. They look like a texture replace. But I enjoy this sort of a view better because I can actually read pretty quickly. So, like, I just want to see the names.
You want to try a devil? See if there's a devil in there or a door?
I haven't done. Let's see what these look like. I didn't do it this way. As far as that's a pretty sweet devil skull.
It's creepy, yeah.
It's pretty.
Is that 3D then?
It is 3D. That's pretty bitchin', dude. I want to use that for something else. How much is it? It's $35. It's got to be in some other asset pack. So there's nothing for free under devil. Let's try door. Right? Oh, look at all these free doors. Miscellaneous exit door. Let's make these icons kind of big. I'm actually going to widen this up. Do a little shopping, right? There's a door material. So anytime you see something like this, Brian, and it just looks like a generic ball, it's the same thing. It's a material. You probably have the same thing in After Effects or, it's the same shit. It's just an example, right?
Yeah, it's just a texture, right?
Yeah, it's a texture on a ball, but actually materials are a little bit more than that.
Okay.
They have other properties that come with them. So a texture, you'll get, I think it comes over. I think it does show on a material ball like this, but I'm not sure. I never look for things quite like that. So this is actually not the way I shop the asset store. You can do it this way, like if you think you might find what you need on the instant, and it has a high likelihood of being in the store, right? Mm-hmm. Like a door is probably likely, but the thing is it's very hard to sort or sort of adjust your search this way, right?
Right.
Okay, you see these blue cubes down here at the bottom of my screen? No.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so that's a prefab. Are you familiar with prefabs yet?
No, please.
Okay. Which also makes it hard to get. Actually, let's come back to prefabs in a minute when I start building through doors. And that's a hugely important part of things, and I don't want to gloss over it. So let me open up a new window here. And if you go to assetstore.unity3d.com, right, in your browser window, that'll take you to the same asset store that you can get to in the game. in the game engine, right?
Okay, so I'm in the asset store already. How do I get back to the scene?
Oh, okay. So did it pop up an asset store window?
I'm on an asset store. It's got a tab at the top. I'm still in Unity, but it
Yes.
looks like it's like a browser page. Yeah.
Yes. So if you go to Window, right, Asset Store, which is where you're at now, I'm just going to visually catch up to you.
Sure.
Right? It opens up this Asset Store, which is probably what you've got here, and I'm logged in as well. So is this what you see?
Yes, exactly. I mean, yeah, mine has the images on it, but yeah, same thing.
Okay. So I skipped a step. I opened up this URL in my browser, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. So let's say, let's go back to Devil, right? And use their search piece. One of the things that annoys me the most about this is I can't sort my searches, right?
Oh, really?
There's no way to sort or filter these searches.
Oh, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, it seems like a strange omission, especially when you're doing something web-based, right?
Yeah.
But I'll look at these pictures and go, oh, Minion from Hell, that's not exactly what I'm looking for. Soul Eater, that looks more like a dragon, space agents. Okay, I'm not really finding what I'm kind of looking for.
Devil looks like Diablo.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of knockoffs in here. So here's a horror pack. Oh, these are cute little cartoony guys. That's not exactly what I was looking for, but there's a nice looking devil in here.
Yeah,
right?
I see that guy. Funky looking.
Yeah, this clown guy's really, really fucking creepy. And Brain Girl's nice. Anyway, there's a lot of really cool... Say what?
The clown is disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. Anyway, but it's $55, and I don't want to spend $55 just to get one devil thing out of there. I will wait to... I'll sort of remember this next time I want to make a horror Halloween game or something.
Yeah.
It says Mechanism in here, so I think it also comes with animations, right? So that makes it that makes the $55 probably more worth it. Now you see up here, add to wish list. I'm not going to add it to my wish list because I'm not that hot on it. Right. But you can add things to come back and look for them later.
That's just your favorites, basically.
Yeah, it's like basically a pre-shopping cart shopping cart.
Yeah, totally.
So here's my wish list, and actually we could probably spend 20 minutes going through this. We won't do it today, but I'll go through my wish list and tell you why I put these things on there.
Right.
At some point, right? But there's some stuff in here that's like, oh, that's pretty cool, or that's not,
Yeah, we could just touch on the overarching idea here, and monster planning style. I can see why you'd want that one.
Yeah, right? Okay, so the reason that I do there's a couple of things here. The reason I go to Google Chrome and do the asset store this way is once I do a search, right? Like let's say let's try old man, right? Okay. What I'll do from here is instead of linear browsing, which is basically going into, say, this one, right? And I didn't really like that. And then hitting back on the browser, which is what you'd have to do inside Unity. I do this. Right-click, open that in a new tab. Okay, I'm going to open this one in a new tab. Let's check this one out, right? Okay. Then I'll check this one out. Sometimes I'll open a new window when I'm super excited, and I'll be like, oh, I want to go look at this right now, right? And it's just a little bit more free as far as the browsing, and it updates faster. Inside Unity, it's...
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Inside Unity, it's a pain in the ass. Jesus Christ, it looks like not the most modern asset. I was going to be a little bit more critical, but...
It looks pretty cool, though. It
was pretty cool. It was good. Just the fidelity is a little bit retro. And then I'll go through my tabs, right? And I'll go, oh, yeah, that's great. Or, like it, don't like it, add it to my wish list, kill the tab, right?
Is this a 3D old man he had up there?
That was a 3D old man, yeah. Here's
that. And these motion packs, I'm assuming that's just animation, or specifically animation?
That is correct. And so over here on the right side are all your categories, right?
Right.
And I'm going to show you a couple things here. So for me, there are two things that I use to... Well, actually, there's several things that I use to make things faster for myself. And one of them is under scripting. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. It's not scripting. Editor extensions. Visual scripting. Right? There are a couple of leaders in this category that people really like. I think Playmaker by far is the most popular, but the one that I like to use is, you'll see there's lots of competition out here now, is called Uscript. And that looks like this. So it's another visual scripting tool. Right? I'll show you both of these in the editor in a second. Oh my god, look at that spaghetti. Anyway, it's $100, but it was I got it when it was $50 in beta, so people have a tendency to do that. But for me, it's worth it because it makes things so much faster as far as like being able to prototype stuff, as opposed to going to like writing C# text, right? And same.
It's node based.
It's very node based, right?
Okay, cool.
And then Playmaker is kind of the same thing, but this is state-based, right? So state nodes, basically, you can create like a state machine, right? So you see this door FSM in this picture. So FSM stands for finite state machine, right? And so finite state machine.
It's how one thing is in a state, and then something happens, and it's in another state.
Correct. And I think the the finite part, is really just academia for it doesn't go forever,
Right.
right? It may loop, but you know it's finite in its bounds.
You could create an infinite loop if you wanted to, but technically it's one move.
Yes. So, but it's a state machine, right? And so a state machine basically is, I'll show you some things. So Playmaker is also paid, and it's $45.
Okay.
Playmaker has the most additions onto it, so people can make additions to say like they make these state machines, and they can put them in the store, or like make modules for it, and they sell their own modules. You know, it's not the Hutong Game Company that's doing it. It's like somebody that said like, oh, here's my door modules, boom, and they put them up.
Right.
Right. Or this is my add-on to this. So anyway, I'm gonna make this smaller. Let's go back to Unity. Now, there's a couple of ways that you need to understand using the Unity Asset Store piece in here, right? So let's say I bought that on the web. It would go to here. Here, I'll pretend to buy this Mixamo fuse. Okay, we'll go here. You buy it for $100, and then you know you get this thing. You check out, right? And then I'm gonna do this. So continue shopping. I should kill my shopping cart. I'll kill that later. Anyway, once you've bought something in a Unity Asset Store, it does like I showed you earlier, where it did the import assets, right? And you see that I got this party pack that I downloaded earlier. It does that whole thing, but what if I say like go here and I'm like, oh, I don't need this anymore, and I just hit delete. Like, oh shit, I've deleted it. Where the fuck did it go? Right? What am I going to do? Well, come back here, go to your asset store. It'll also give you a warning, like when you delete something, it's permanently gone. And what they mean is you can't undo, you can't hit Alt-Z and undo it. But they're not saying you can't undo this, you're forever going to lose this asset to the ether, right?
That's good, because I think I thought I'd lost them a bunch of times.
I did too. It took me a little while to go like, oh my god, I just lost all of this work because I just deleted it and all this other stuff, and like, but what they mean is that you can't hit like Control Z or Command Z and undo the delete, right? So now we have to go back to this screen, and you see this. It looks like an inbox with like an arrow pointing down at the top here. So it's like back, forward, home, inbox, shopping cart. Heart, go to this, and this shows you everything that you've bought in the asset store, right? You can see that I've got a lot of stuff, but a lot of it's free, some of it's not free, but you can group it by title or by category so that you can go through your own stuff and sort of be able to filter through exactly what you want, right? But I usually just go by title because I know exactly what I want and where it's going to be. What was that? That was the Well, actually, it was a party pack. Right? Party pack, 2 million user party pack. I don't need to download it again. It has this button here. You can hit that button if you think that you've actually lost some assets. Right?
It doesn't have to have been deleted from like your folder or something.
No, don't even worry about it. But if this button says update, that means that there's a newer version available.
And you want the newer version?
Well, it depends. We should, depending on what it is, you may or may not want the newer version right away, right?
We'll take a note of that. We might talk about that next time.
Yeah. So I'm going to import this and keep going. So there's all the assets that I'm going to import. And an interesting thing about this screen is you can choose to not import certain things. Right? Like, let's say I just want the party hat. I'm going to click None. Let's get... is there a prefab in here? I don't see any prefabs. It's a fucking hat. Party hat. Green material. Let's just grab everything that says party hat. Party hat. Let's get these. Oh, screw it. Let's go all. I'll import it all. I was just... You can choose to bring stuff in or not bring stuff in. Alright. So it's going to take a second.
Okay.
Okay, so... yeah, there's like a whole 15 minutes to talk about why you should or shouldn't download or update things depending on what's going on.
We'll definitely hit that next week. We'll kind of like keep track of those things that we spend more time on.
You can for sure screw yourself over, so I want to kind of go over it first before you get too deep into it.
Right.
We're going to be very, very directed about the things that we bring into this scene, even though I've just brought in this party pack scene that we absolutely don't need.
Right.
So anyway.
Example, I see. Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good idea.
But we're going to be very, very careful. So I'm going to go click. So you see, I brought in this party pack, and it's got all these subfolders, right? Let's go to their scenes and see their party pack screen. Yeah, I'm not going to save this current scene because I didn't do anything. Let's hit the play button up here. Right? Oh, hey, it's got music. All right. Turn these gizmos off. Woo! It's Unity Party 2 million users. Fantastic. Okay. And then there's a particles pack example. So I think this is going to be poppers.
Nice.
Yeah. Actually, these are decent examples because I think these particle systems are... There's a couple of interesting... Oh, that fourth one's not firing. One sec. I'm not getting any errors. We can debug that later if we need to, but I'll show you that later. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to... I'm gonna make a new scene, and then I'm gonna save this scene. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a good habit right now. You start a new scene, right? It's not automatically saved. Right? It's just called new scene. Right? The first thing I do is I save the scene, right? And then give it a name.
Yeah.
Right? So that I don't assume that it's been saved later on after like an hour and a half of work. Right? Walk away and then like the power goes out and then you pull your hair out and punch yourself in the dick.
So here's a question for you. If you save the scene like you just did,
yep.
Is there an option to have it automatically save every 2 minutes or something?
Yes, but there are different things that automatically save by action. So every time you hit play, it saves your scene.
Okay.
I think that every time you compile scripts, it saves, but I have a tendency to hit Command S just reflexively, just all the time. I hit save all the time. And I don't bother going up here, like you won't see me do it on screen, like I won't hit save scene here necessarily. You'll just see me you'll just hear it.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Now, let's bring in, I'm going to delete this because we don't really need extra right now. And we're going to make, let's make our 3 doors world. Okay?
Great.
Assets, sorry, game object. Create 3D object, right?
Let me run with you here. So create a 3D object and you're creating a plane?
Yep. And there's our ground. Right? Let's look at it from above. From the side, it's infinitely thin. Right?
Sorry, can I back you up a second?
You sure can.
Okay, so it's at the top menu, or the top menu bar. I'm going to go to Assets, Create.
It says Game Object, sorry. Game Object, 3D Object, Create a Plane.
It's not a Create Other. It's not giving me Create 3D Object.
Under Game Object?
Yeah, under Game Object, I only have 4 options. I have Create Empty Child, Create Other, and then it opens up to a bunch of different things, and then Move to View.
That's interesting. Hold on. Let me delete this plane. What about over here under the Hierarchy tab? Do you have the Hierarchy tab?
I do have the Hierarchy tab.
Okay, there's a Create button there.
Got it.
3D Object?
3D Object is not an option. It's like it's 3D text, but I've got like cube, sphere, capsule, so like, oh, plane. It just doesn't say 3D Object.
Okay. Okay, I think you're on an older version of Unity.
Got it. But it's a plane that we're creating, right?
Yes, create a plane.
Okay, got that.
Okay, I will, hold on.
Did you switch to a 2D view or something on that?
I did. I'll show you that right here in a second. So, you see the, up here in my scene view?
Yep.
Is the different axes, right?
Yep.
X-axis, Y-axis, Z-axis. I always forget the colors, but... And then in the middle, there's a cube, right? And that's the one that turns you from, like, orthographic or ISO, basically flat projection, or perspective, right? It's basically isometric or perspective, but it changes your camera mode from, like,
so how are you using that eyeball to move the camera around?
Right, which is the next thing. So there are a couple of hotkeys you do need to get into. Actually, there's thought there was a button to do it, like a mouse button, but there's not. Okay, so for me it's Alt, right, or Option. You're on a Mac, right?
Yeah, so Apple or Command. Yeah.
No, Option. So it's Option or Alt, right?
Option.
Right. And you hold that down and it'll give you this eyeball.
Very cool, got it.
Right, and then that will orbit whatever, I think, what's in the center of the screen. Okay, so let's keep moving forward. Shall we make 3 doors real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to make a 3D object, cube. Okay. Here's another thing.
Making a cube now? Okay.
Yep. So here's another thing for you. I'm going to, yeah, let's stick with this. Okay, so I use the middle mouse button, right, by the way, to give me this hand to pan around.
Okay. I don't even have the middle mouse button.
Oh, there's another way to do it. Hold on.
I guess let's just click to the hand there, right?
Yeah, so Alt Option will give you the hand if you hold those both together. But yeah, you can just click to the hand up here, move your scene around, right? Here's another thing for you, Brian, is I now have the cube selected over here, right? If you double...
So for Mac, sorry, that's Command Option on the Mac to do the hand. Sorry about that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
If you double click your object in the hierarchy, it'll zoom to keep it centered, right?
That's a cool move, yeah.
Yeah. Where is that? Oh, there it is. F also does that, but I generally just double click because I'm selecting it anyway. Right?
Cool.
Okay. Now the cube looks short. I'm gonna actually make this window a little bit smaller so I can see it underneath your head for a second. I'm gonna drop this over here. You notice the Unity interface is pretty customizable. You can do what you want with it.
Yeah, I love it.
And in fact, I'm going to do this to ditch. This is probably better for casting anyway. Okay. Put game here. All right. So here's the inspector view for my cube, right? This over to the side. And you'll see that it's got scale dimensions of 1, 1, 1, right? But actually, I'm going to make this window a little smaller so I can work with everything together. Okay, except that it looks kind of short, right?
Right.
That's because half the cube is underneath the world, right?
Wow.
And when I created it, when you create by this method here, create empty or 3D object, it automatically puts it in the center of the world at 0, 0, 0, right? So you'll see that everything starts to overlap. And I created another, I think I created a capsule.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a capsule. Alright, let's delete it.
You could find a lot of use from just those 3D objects, it seems. I mean,
You're
getting ideas.
If your brain is good at working sort of Legos, right, you can do a lot of stuff, because now what I'm about to show you is these sort of bits up here, right? This is rotate, and then just like you know, your other 3D packages, it gives you sort of handles that you can do for rotation, right?
Awesome.
But also notice the inspector at the top right of the screen is changing to show me what rotation it's at, right? This is important because at some point this section here called transform is one of the things that you're going to control from script.
Is that like keyframing, sort of, but through script?
Yeah, I could tell it to move. So see that it's 0.5 meters or 0.5 units above the world, like above zero. You know, you could tell it to move to 5 units. Sorry, I'm going to have to zoom out, right? And like interpolate that so it'll smoothly go from one to the other, or immediately go there, right? Just by changing that value, and it'll do it in game. Right? In fact, here, we'll do this. We'll put the game view up next to the hierarchy view over here as well, right? And I'll put the inspector here so that you can see that this is the cube, it's unlit. I'm going to add something. Don't worry about this right now. Okay. You can't see stuff if you don't have a light.
Right.
Right? So that's where that is. But you have to add one to your scene so you can see things. Anyway, so you'll see this play button is down, which means I'm in play mode. Right? I'm going to move it back to 0.5, which is just above the world. Let's go to 0.6. You know, and basically I'm showing you that if I change the properties of this thing, even while it's running, it will change, right? So basically that's what you're going to do when you script, is you're going to change the properties of these objects.
Well, got it.
Right? And the script is basically there because you can't be there to do this. Right? So if you could imagine this as like a multiplayer console and I'm on this thing as the game master, I'd be moving everything around. I could do it through this, right?
Right.
Okay, that's not 100% accurate, but that's you're close enough for disco. Okay, let me drop this back in. We're going to add that light back in because basically you can't see anything unless you have a light.
So we should add the light.
Yes, so add a light.
So create a light, or the point light is what you're using, or directional?
I'm using a directional light. So one thing of note about the directional light, it is not necessarily, it does have a source here which comes into play in some instances, but you can assume that essentially it's infinitely lighting the world.
Yeah, I see that where the source goes. I'm assuming you can change all that stuff too.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to show you a couple things. So you see this up here, it says pivot and center, local. There's like 2 toggle buttons here. Right? Okay, so I'm going to take my mouse over move, right? Move it on the global axis up, right? Watch my inspector. See that with the Y is incrementing up, right? Okay, notice that the cube on my screen is not changing shadow-wise.
Right.
Right? It's being lit from that direction, no matter where the light source is.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I am going to show you another thing. This toggle is important, this global local toggle, right? Because now you'll see that my axis on the screen for the light changed to... Hold on, let me turn off these light gizmos. Nope, let me turn this light back on. Turn that off for a second. No, yeah, there we go. Okay, see that the axis is all skewed, right? It's aligned to the object. So let's say for some reason I want to move this light just away. Here, let's go to... Okay, I'm going to set the challenge out in front of us right now. I'm going to move the light up, right? And move it away from the box so that it's pointed directly at it.
Okay.
Okay. So here, let's move it up so I can visually see that it's, you know, sort of above the box, right? Let's go on this plane, right? And then what I'm going to do is switch this to local, and I just want it to be farther away in direction from the box. Do you see that?
Yep.
So instead of doing like global, like, oh shit, I need to move it this way, and then that way, and then, okay, I need to sort of adjust it here. I'm going to move it in relationship to itself, right? So sideways along its own track. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to rotate it on global so that it spins. Right? See that? Actually, let's move it down a little bit so I can get both things on screen. Okay. Now I'm going to rotate it on global. Right? See how the shadow changes on the box?
What are you using for the hotkey for rotate?
Rotate. So these 5 buttons at the top, right, your sort of navigation buttons, is Q for hand, W,
oh, nice.
E, R, T.
Just across the top. There.
Just across the top. Right? And so you can actually get pretty quick to it with like move, rotate it, move it again. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. So now you've got, let's get this lit this direction again. Also, I could rotate by, see how the green line rotates around it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, that's all fine and good. We still don't have a door. Let's get to a door. Okay. I'm going to change this to door. I'm going to move a little...
Just rename that one?
Yep. I'm going to move this to the floor. We're going to zoom in on it. I'm going to make sure everything is at 0. So, like, I am a stickler for when I first make objects, I want to make them sort of on a grid, or at least, like, in a very, very set reference point, right? So I do like making things at 0, 0, 0, 0 rotation, 0 everything else, for multiple reasons, and mostly because once you start to combine objects or do other things, you need that reference to be as static as possible.
The 0, 0.
Makes it easier to understand. Oh. How long did that take to desync, Matt? Anyway, as we wait for that response, I'll just keep going here. So a door is typically, let's go look for an image of a door. Right?
You just pull up Google images for that?
Yeah.
Some more coffee.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's not bad. So just to keep talking, I'm searching doors right now, and I'm looking for example doors and seeing. I'm window shopping for, you know, is there one that I like? Is there something that I think makes sense? Is there something that matches my devil? Brian, can you hear me?
Yep.
So basically, I'm going through the different Google image search categories and seeing if there's a door that I sort of want to glom onto, right? I think the best one, as good as these doors are, actually, is not too bad. Actually, that's pretty good. It's something super generic. Wow, that's artsy. Somebody, although there's a missing stroke here. All right, let's just grab one. And I think we just need something generic. That's not exactly right. But proportions is actually what I was looking. Say what?
Could you make one in Photoshop and then maybe use that as an asset too?
Yeah, so Matt's saying I need to find an evil door. You're right. I do need to find an evil door, but first I just need a regular door just to get scale reference. So let's look at it. What do you figure? Let's get her just at this door. You know what? I'm going to go back to not clip art door.
It's not a bad one. You can use a reference of it.
Yeah, actually, I want to go to a real door because the thing is most people know whether you.
Put that red one.
This one here.
No, the one it's down like the second row.
This one.
Third row. Nope, left side.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. It looks a little skinny to me, though, doesn't it? How about this one? No? So what I was looking at is not so much the art, but I'm looking at the proportions of the doors, right? Mm-hmm. And these are sort of really... Like, doors are skinnier than you think they are. Or they're skinnier than I thought they are. Anyway, so that looks like what? Like 1... And I'll do this with my pen. It's like 1 to... Almost 2, 1 to 1.8, right? Would you say that's the ratio about?
No, you probably made a better call of that than I would.
I'll call it 1 to 1.8. So what I'm going to do is use that ratio as my scale reference for the door. 1.8, so it's 1.8 units tall by 1. So we should have a good...
TARDIS.
Right? Yes, that's right. We have a TARDIS, right? But that should be about the right proportion for the door. The only reason that's important is because I don't want the doors to be the reason that people don't suspend their disbelief, right? I want it to look like a regular old door. It should feel normal. So my only thing now, though, is that it is a TARDIS. It's not a door. We need to make it thinner. Let's go to 0.1 units, and now we have a door.
So to make it thinner, that would be the scale on the z-axis?
That is correct. So I changed the scale on the z-axis to 0.1, which is 1/10 of the width of the door. And now we have...
that looks like a door.
A door. It does look like a door. Okay, so let's move this to 1.8. So what's 1.8 in half? 0.9, correct?
Yep.
And that'll put us directly on the bottom of the world with 0 overlap, right?
And that was a position change, right? You were trying to put that on the ground.
Correct. Correct.
Just above the ground.
Yes. Actually, it should be exactly on the ground.
Okay.
Because it's 1.8 units tall. You can see here that the pivot is in the middle, which is half of the height. Right? So I just divided the height of the door by 2, which gives me the height that the pivot should be, which is this position. Right? So this position row, right, is the position of where this axis point is.
You could do that visually too, right? I mean, if you move your camera and...
I could. So I could do, like, let's say let's go to the x-axis and look at it from the side, right? Line it up, and then line it up so that the plane that I'm looking at is actually flat, right? And then move it up and down to do this. There are also tools that you can use to settle things, right? But I won't worry about that right now.
That looks good to me.
Yeah, it looks like a door. I'm wondering why...
Are you able to duplicate now like you would in another...
I can. In fact, I will do this by mouse first. Duplicate. Move this up. And we make door 2. They don't look right, but we'll fix that in a second. Don't they look inside out?
They do look like they're inside out.
It's a little strange. I'll have to look at it. It might be an issue with my light. So now I'll right-click, duplicate, move this one over. Right? Now, here we go. In my desire and quest for order, let's look at them from the front. They're not exactly equal distance, right?
Right.
So let's pick our first door, which was at 0.9, right? And 0 on Z, right? We're not going to touch the Z one, but we're going to mess with the X one for the right door. So it's 1.215 over. Let's just round that down, 1.2. And this one's going to be at minus 1.2. Right? And part of the reason I do this is when I come back to like bug fix or if I'm having a problem with something, I can visually look at all the numbers and see that they all match. Right? And then if I see that it says like minus 3, even though it kind of looks correct, or it's sort of, you know, like let's say it's whatever, 1.3, sorry, 0.3, like, oh wait, it looks a little off. Is it off? Yeah, I can visually, like, I know it's supposed to be 1.2. So like I basically build everything initially on a grid, right? You don't have to do that for everything, but for this type of stuff, I start this way, and that way I know exactly what it's supposed to look like. Okay, well that doesn't quite look like hell yet. Let's actually turn this more like into a path. So if I wanted to do the math, I would add the widths of these doors plus the distance in between them, right? But in this case, I am just going to wing it, especially since, let's see, it's going to be about 0.5. 0.5, not 5. No, so let's try 4, 3, let's see, 0.35. Okay, there we go. Now we've got something that kind of looks like a path, right?
Yeah.
And it holds the doors on it. And the reason I want to put a path down is even if we don't have, don't visually show it, I want to at least have a ground plane so in case I want to move stuff on it, it has collision, right?
Right.
But let's put it into Z by 100, and now we have an infinite hell path.
So Z at 100 on your scale for something like that puts you at an infinite?
No, it just looks infinite from the camera point of view.
Got it. So
right.
Perspective thing.
Right. And see the camera preview down here?
Cool. How do you pull the camera preview?
So I selected the camera, the main camera here in the world. Right. But this is also the same view as the game view.
Cool.
Right? But you can see the preview down here and say like, oh, okay, there's the camera preview. But let's go back to the game view. Like, okay, that looks about right. Let's look at these doors. You know what's, I think what's missing from these doors is, let's talk about materials. It's got to be it. It's like, I think it's either that or the light. Let's look at the light.
Is the light not in front of those guys?
No, the light is pointed directly at the door jamb. So technically the front and back face aren't lit, which is why it looks oddball. So let's give the light a little spin.
There you go.
And if I wanted to be a real stickler for this kind of thing, it would be like 45, 50 on X, and 0 is that. I'm being anal retentive right now, so just go with me. Okay, so now we have our doors. We have our doors. Okay, now the background is blue. Let's change that because I want it to be more hellish and not blue. So I could do. Let me back up. I went a little fast. So select your main camera. Go to the camera properties over here. There's a color background piece here. Go to black. Right? Or, this looks like works like any other color picker. You can go to red. You can go to blackish red, which I think I'm going to stick with. It's not full black. It's not full red.
Cool.
Okay, are we into it?
Yeah, I'm following along. Yeah, nice.
Okay, now, doors are kind of plain. Let's dress them up a little bit. Let's say... I'm going to create a new folder down here. So I went to my assets folder. I right-clicked on it, create, and you'll see at the top is now a folder. Create this folder. We're going to call this resources. So the reason I create this folder is when you go to do scripting, the default folder it looks for is resources. Now,
just what the code says.
Yeah, it's like there's a couple of different packages. Everybody looks for this default resources folder, which is strange because Unity doesn't auto-create it for you. Whatever, right? Like it just creates it empty. Anyway, let's go back to Google, and let's get let's say this door. Let's see if I can. I wonder if I can drag this in. No, didn't like that. Okay.
What you want to do, like as you're in a normal process, would you want to do the textures right now, or would you want to start animating this and making the gameplay aspects and then texture it, or?
It depends. It's really it just comes down to how important that art's going to be for moving forward, right? Yeah. So what we could do right now is instead of doing that is let me go to door, pick the door color. I'll tell you what. Let's go back to the asset store. Asset store. And I actually pulled one of these down the other day, so I'll bring it in. I was just kind of using that example as something to use as a teaching meme.
Is this actually a door image or a door texture?
It is a full door prefab. Hey Matt, so you can't do a gradient color shift the way that I just through this color picker. So this color picker is just a straight up background color. You can do the alpha, but since it's the background, there's nothing to show behind it, so there's no reason to really do anything with the alpha. To get what you're talking about, you have to do something like a skybox or another. Basically, you're going to have to do something else besides just this background color to do a gradient. But are you asking me to do black at the top and red towards the bottom as a aesthetic look and show that? Is it? Let me import that door. And you see the door comes with a model, a material, and 2 texture maps.
Cool.
Right. Bring this in. So what I can do, I'm going to show you a tricky trick. All right, I have this is the door prefab here, right? And you see it shows up as a picture here, but there's this little arrow on it.
Yeah.
On the side. I'm going to make this icon bigger so you can see this. This arrow on the side shows you that that it's a prefab, right? And B, all the pieces that make up this prefab. Right? So like what's in it? Oh, there's a door model. There's the animation. There's an avatar in here for some reason. I don't know what all that stuff does, but let's look at it. So if you do it this way, let's go back to like a list view. Right? See how I've done this list view? Zoom slider at the bottom. Right? It's basically thumbnails or a list view, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. List view, you could actually just do it this way. You think it'd look better? I've got something else planned for this, and I'll show you that in a second because I'll pull it in. But I could do a gradient background in Photoshop again. But I'll show you that in a second. So here's the door prefab. I'm going to drag it into the world.
I'm going to put that as a note for the next one for the gradient shift.
Yeah, because we're going to run out of time here pretty soon. But,
yeah.
So
about 20 minutes.
Yep. That's why I was like, let's get to something a little bit more exciting at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me do something for the world instead of the gradient shift, and I think you guys will dig this. We're not going to get to scripting. Well, actually, I'm going to touch on scripting today, but we're not going to do much with it because that gets its own at least 30 minutes just to intro it.
Sure.
So you'll see I have a door here. It's above my other door, but you know, me being anal retentive, I want to make sure that it's aligned how I want it. So it's 0.5. Actually, that was probably the best way. You'll see that its axis is down at this corner, right?
Yeah, you can move that around now.
Yeah, but the thing is it's going to have totally different world placement than the door, because the door has, the one that we made has axis in the middle, and this one has it on the corner, right?
Right.
Now, there's a reason they did that is because I think there's an animation attached to this, and that's where it's going to spin, right?
It's like an axis like this, right? Yeah.
Right. So, like, watch this. I will show you the example. If I rotate this door, it spins in the middle, right? If I rotate this door, it swings like a door.
Right.
Right? Because of where that pivot point is, where the axis is. Okay. I'm just going to... I just hit Command Z to undo all of that to get back to where I was. Okay, I'm a little bit retentive here, so what I'm going to do, actually, is take this door. I'm going to make it a child of my original door. Right? So in this hierarchy, nothing changed in the scene, but in my hierarchy, it's underneath this door, correct? Do you have that?
That sounds like something like parenting, like you do, and so one thing controls another, right?
That is correct. I'm going to delete... Oh, shit. Whoops. I actually parented it to the wrong door. I parented it to the left door because I think in my retentive ways, I arranged them top to bottom, left to right. Okay, I am going to get rid of the side doors for the sake of demonstration and for ease of use, and so I don't get confused. Okay, so I parented it. Now I'm going to show you something. Look over here at the inspector. Notice the XY position numbers. Okay, yeah. Here's the door by itself. Notice that they changed. Right?
Yeah.
Once I parented it, it changed, right? And I took it off, and I'm going to parent it again. I'm just showing you, so you can watch the inspector here. Right. Unlink them. Now I'm going to link it back on. Okay, this is what it's doing. When it's not attached to this other object, which we'll call the door, right? The regular door. When it's not attached to that, its transform numbers are where it is in the world, right? So it's technically, it's like understood you, right? Like go to the store. Like when you speak that way, that you is still there. You go to the store, correct? Right? You know what I'm saying? So assume that the door is attached to the world, and this is its relationship in the scene or the world scene, right? And so this is how far it is from the center of the world, right? Once I attach it to the door, those numbers change to be its relationship to this door object. So
can you just change them to 0, 0, 0 then and bring it back to where the door is?
I could, but what it will do, since the pivot is not at 0, 0, 0 on the door, is it will put it there.
Just yeah.
Right? So, but what I can do is do this. I'll move it by hand until I think it visually matches kind of the center of where it is in like 0.537. Let's look at it. Okay, so it's probably, about 0.5. Sorry, 0.5. And then so we saw that 6 actually aligned it on the left side, right? So it's probably 0.55, right? That's about middle there, right? And then The minus is going to be whatever that half was. I'm going to call it as 0.9. No, sorry. Minus 0.9. Nope, that's too far. Let's try minus 0.6. It gets a little too far too. This thing's a little bit taller than the door we made, right? There we go. So it's about on the ground. Now, here's the tricky trick. I put it on there to use the door as my sort of like number reference, right?
Yeah.
What's its relationship to the door? I'm actually going to get rid of that door, so I'm going to unparent it, delete this door, and now my door's in the right spot.
Great.
Right? Okay, that's my thing. But now let's look at the world coordinates. This actually is 0, right? And 0.55. But this works when you have an object that, say, the pivot is in like a strange place. Is you could put a reference object, go to create empty, right? And I want this game object. It didn't create it at 0, 0. It made it sort of that.
The game object is just like an invisible controller.
It's an empty game object is just invisible in the world, right? And I can add a component to this thing or do other things, but I can also just use it as this point. So let's say I wanted to attach this thing to where this game object is. I can say, okay, I want this door to be 0.55 and 0 from this game object. Put it on there. Game object is at that distance. 0.55 and 0 should put me exactly where this game object is. Just about. Okay, so I can visually place this game object before I put the door on it, and then snap it too, right?
Okay.
There are other more automatic ways to do it, but this is a great way for you to be able to not get caught fiddling with visually lining things up, as you can do it by the numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, that's sort of one of my methodologies. Okay, you guys want to see? I made something kind of at work. I'll do this interestingly. Let's spice it up a little bit.
Duplicate those doors, right? Like it would just be.
Say what?
That we would duplicate that door then, similar to how we did it with the shapes.
Yeah, and in fact, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you. There's a couple of different problems here. Is like if I actually had to duplicate the doors to make 10,000 sets of these, I would have to make 30,000 doors. Right? So basically what we need to do is figure out a way that we want our doors to create instances of this door, right, at will. So when I play it right now, we got nothing. We got a door, we got a red background, and we have whatever this land piece, right?
It looks creepy though.
It does kind of look creepy.
It's The Shining, yeah.
It is kind of The Shining. So we can do, let's try duplicate it. I'm just going to duplicate it twice just so that we can have, let's call this. So you see the prefab down here? I'm going to do this the right way just because later on I don't want to have to. Okay, I duplicated the door prefab down here, right? And now I'm going to select this prefab, go to this door. I'm going to have to bring it into the world. Okay, so door 2 is now in here. Right, door 1 and door 2. Right, and then I'm going to take door 3. I'm going to drag this into the world as well. Door 3, we'll move it over here. Right? And I'm not going to fiddle fart with the numbers right now. That's sort of not important. Okay, so we have 3 doors. Now I'm going to go to door 2. We're going to look at the base color for it. And just in a cheap way. You notice that I went to door 2 and changed the color and all 3 doors changed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's because even though this is the color that's attached to door 2, more importantly, it's attached to this material. So all I did was change the color of this material and it changed all 3 doors.
The element something?
Yes, you see element 0?
Yeah.
Door 1. And then when I click this, you see how it turns yellow in my asset browser, right? So I originally started with like, oh, I'll make this one door red, and it made them all 3 red, right? It doesn't work that way. So even though door 2 and door 3 are separate, they're using the same material, right? So let's go find that material. Here it is, door 3. If I select it down here, notice the inspector changes to the material, right? So now I can see what makes the material. I'm like, oh, okay. I can sort of play around with this, make it blue, purple. Like, oh, that's all pretty neat stuff. But it is changing all 3 doors. So how do we fix that? We actually take this door material. I'm going to okay. There's no right click menu for this, so I'm going to hit Command D, and it's going to duplicate it and auto increment the number. Right? Door 1, door 2, door 3, which is nice because now this is going to match our new door system. And hold on, you'll notice that the doors haven't changed yet, right? It's because I didn't actually change the material on the door. All I've done is created 3 new materials, right? So let's go to door 2. You'll see that it says door 1 here. Click this little circle thing, and now I'm going to change it to door 2. Right?
Yes.
Go to door 3.
Reference
right
to the material. Yeah, I get you.
Right. And then change this one to door 3, and now we have RGB doors.
Cool.
Right, and let's look at that in game. There we go. And in fact, I think because I have some color contrast there, I'm going to change the main camera to be slightly, where is it? Slightly darker. Let's go. So it's, actually, right now with these doors, I'm actually going to make it brighter so that they contrast against the background. Okay, can you dig it?
Hopping on, and yeah, it's creepy as hell.
Actually, I'm going to go a little darker.
That's straight out of Doctor Who, like the old school Doctor Who.
Yeah. Okay, now let's take this directional light. I kind of feel like the background's a little overpowering the doors because they're not very bright. I'm going to turn up the intensity on the light to 1.5, and now they should be lit a little bit better as far as how they're looking.
Now, can you put some sort of script? I know this might be a question for later, but like how you just made the light brighter. If you wanted to make it look like it's a flickery light, would you be able to put like a wiggle type?
Say something like this, where the doors are flashing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's almost like there's like a light and just kind of almost anthem brightness and darken, on the light.
We absolutely can, and in fact, I'm going to get into the first we're going to touch on script just a little bit. We would definitely do that with a script.
Sure, yeah, we can do that next week too. I'll write that down.
Yeah.
We already got a lot of points over the day.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get through them all. But I'll show you real quickly. Remember we went to the asset store and I said that I use these visual scripting systems?
Yes.
Right? Okay, I'm going to bring one in right now so that you can get a feel for the look of this. So there's an update. So I'm going to update my UScript. I haven't used Playmaker much yet. My brain is just kind of wired for UScript right now, so we'll go with that. But I think what we can do in a future episode is like, hey, let's look at Playmaker, and then we'll go make a bunch of stuff, right? Okay, so you see, it's actually a significant import. There's a lot of stuff coming in, right? I'm going to import this.
Yeah, I called that a Twin Peaks vibe.
What, the doors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the little midget guy's going to come out and talk to us.
Right.
It's scary as hell.
Or, 2 girls on big wheels.
Yeah.
Come rolling out. All right, so this will take a minute. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, where are we at time-wise?
We've got 10 minutes, I think. We'll just stop. I'll mark it for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Well, we said noon we would stop, right? We have 20 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got time. Okay, so I'll do a couple of things real quick. We're not going to get to actually super heavy gameplay. Okay, I need to actually open this scene again, I think. So let me save my project. We'll save the scene. This happens sometimes. You'll notice I got an error when I tried to import this thing. Right? You see this? It's like a system error. I think I fixed this on a different machine by quitting and relaunching. So yeah, save it. Save all of that. Let's relaunch Unity. Because basically it needs to recompile all of those scripts again. Twitch example project. Opening up. Twin Peaks vibe. Look at my doors. Okay. So I'm going to kill this asset store window. Get back into this. So now, see in my project hierarchy over here, I've got UScript and UScript project files. That's the plugin I just installed.
Okay.
Okay. Now to use this, you go to Tools, UScript, right? UScript Editor, right? And it'll pop up a window. Enable that. It's great, fantastic, fun times. Okay, don't show this at startup. I'll turn it off just like every time I update. Actually, you know what? Before we get into this, this is a great thing. If you do get UScript, these all link to important ways to learn about how to use UScript. In fact, when I first got this, I went with key concepts, and then I looked through the documentation, and then I went to the video tutorials. I was able to reference all this stuff and go back and forth to kind of figure it out. I'm going to try and fast track you a little bit, but let's do a whole thing about UScript like in the next episode or the episode after. Okay? I'm just going to show you how I use it right now from a top-line view of like, let's do something like, in fact, let's do this. So, file, save this current UScript. Twitch, doors, test.
You want to put it in the same folder as the one you were working on, or is it okay to convert it?
It'll open up default to the asset folder. This stuff I just automatically go through. Assign graph to master game object. In this case, I'm going to say yes. I will teach you why you say no next time.
Okay.
Or at least maybe actually later today. Okay. So I now have a script, and see it says the Unity editor is compiling one or more scripts. Right? It's empty, but it's going to compile it right now. And then in my scene, let's go back to the scene. You'll see that there's now a UScript object in the screen. In the scene, right? And it has this C# script attached to it, right? What's it bitching about? Ignore this for right now because we're not doing anything with it. So now you see that this is one of the reasons I like UScript is this actually created a C# script that I can find in here, and I can now open up this C# script, see it over here, and read through it. So if you want to learn C#, you can do this node-based stuff and then go open up the C# script to understand how it put it together.
Cool.
Right? But that's kind of pro mode at some point. We'll go sort of farther.
Sure.
But it's nice because it's pretty straightforward in what it's doing. It's just taking...
Like we're going to do an entire episode on scripting and the different script programs.
Absolutely. In fact, there's probably a couple in there. Okay. Yeah. Now, the basic... I'm going to go over to Keynote real quick just so you can understand. I'm going to sort of give you a thing. Let's go to shape. This one. Okay. So the basic flow, though, that you do have to understand this before you get into what we're doing, is the way this works is generally some event, right, kicks off in the world. And this event will then move down the line. Okay, this arrow is important. So that's your basic scripting block. Is something happens in the game or in the world or something like that, and it sends a message right? And then we'll actually do this. Let me see if I can. Does it say that on there? No. Okay, basically this arrow is not nothing. It's not just a connector. It's basically letting you know that this event is talking to this action, right? Now, one thing that's interesting, and I'll do it here once just so that you can sort of conceptually have it before I go in to start like working with nodes, is you can do multiple actions from the same event in parallel like this, and I'll show you how to do that. Right,
like
about
like an audio thing and an explosion, or
yeah, totally. You can have it kick off an audio and then an effects and something like that, right? But just I wanted you to sort of have that, because so at some point before like the other interface is kind of confusing. There's a lot of shit there, right? But what we're basically looking for is an event that we want to identify that's going to do what we that's going to trigger this thing, right? So we'll go back here. I'm going to do this real quick. You right click on it, add events, right? I'm going to go to game events. See, hold on a second. Actually, I think what I want is not game events. I want input events, right? And then I'm going to do this. And so we get this really sort of, let me put this on grid. Like really tiny looking node, right? And it says that in any input event coming from uScript, now send something out of this dot, right? Now I'm going to do add condition comparison. Actually, hold on. Action. There's a lot of these things. I'll eventually show you all of this crap. Event filter. Input events filter, right? This event goes to the in. This thing is selected, so this part of the screen now has sort of properties for that, right? And I can choose what button I want to listen for. All right, so here we go. Let's go with the space bar. I'm going to go fast through this just so that we can do this. So
there we go. 12 minutes.
Yep. Action. Do an action to a variable color. Set random color. Here's our next one. So I'm going to read this left to right to you, right? And that's what's nice about this kind of scripting. When an input happens, we're going to check to see if it's the space bar, right? That's down here, right? And then we're going to set a random color, right? And so you see this arrow down here at the bottom? Yeah. This is an output. It's going to, when it sets the random color, it sends it out this arrow, right? Yeah. Well, it's not connected to anything, so we need to put something there. So I'm going to right click, add variable color, and you'll see that it made a little, color scrotum down here, right? And don't bother setting this stuff over here into properties, because it's going to come out this arrow and change this variable, right?
Right.
So it's going to set that color, and then at some point we need to do something with this. Hold on to that for 1 second. See over here, there's this drop down for space. I'm going to do this for my own. There's a search field over here. This becomes useful. I will show you how to do this later. Variables, Unity Engine key code. This goes here. Okay, so now I can actually do this. If I wanted to change that thing, I can do it. Okay, so now we're going to, an event happens. And I did this just so that we can read it this way. I'm going to filter the space event, right? When the space bar is down, right? When it's pressed down, we're going to set the random color of, add, let's see, how did I do this yesterday? Set random color, game object, there should be something in here for assign material color. Okay, so we've set a random color for this variable. We're going to assign a random color to a target, which is, and I will do this way, but you can drag these things, sorry, this is not going to make any visual sense to you guys, but I'll do it this way. To add that thing in, game object to door 1, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross the streams here. Assign this color to the material that's on door 1. Okay? I can see by your eyeballs that you're getting this, but it's a lot of information.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, is this going to be able to, will this do something? Would it be able to see what it actually does?
That is correct. We will see what it does here in a...
So I think that we should start on this the next...
Right, which is why I'm trying to wrap up on this, so that we basically get to the point where there's some interactivity, right? Let's check my console. I've got... Let's see. Why do I have... Let me clear this. I've got some build errors, so let me see. That might actually be fixed. Let's try and run it. Okay, Unity editor's running. Everything looks okay. Okay, the door is changing to a random color.
Cool.
Every time I hit the space bar.
Action here.
Yeah. We got action. We got action.
The disco door going.
Yeah.
Disco double door. And then can you copy those properties onto all the doors then?
Let's do that next week.
Okay, got it.
Technically, yes. I could also do it from. Let's do one thing, and I will do. I would do this the cheap and easy way. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it twice, right? And I am going to assign multiple game objects to the same target. Right? They all say door 1 right now, but let's go in and change that to door 2, door 3. Now, the thing that's going to happen here is they will all get the same color.
Okay, got it, yeah.
Right? So I'm assigning material color, they'll all get the same color. I could do set random color 3 different times, like split this way, right? And split the stream. So it does all 3 doors separately. In fact, here, I'll just do it. I'm not worried about you comprehending all of this right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think
so,
to show how fast it can be done.
Yeah. Okay. So this, it's going to be sloppy as fuck too. Okay, so I've created sort of like a split stream here, right?
Yeah.
Where basically, hold on. It's going to do this at the same time. It should do door 1, door 2 will change colors, door 3 will be its own color, and then we will do it this way. Let's see. Make sure.
Yep.
Okay, 2 of them should match. Actually, they're all getting the same color.
Yeah.
Because I'm not actually setting this one here. So I made one of my first mistakes. Okay. Door 2, door 1, change that color. Target color. Let's actually do this. 0.9, 0.1. And it'll always stay in the red field. Build it. So door 3, I think, is the one on the right. Okay, this door on the right should be either a different color, more red. I'm trying to go fast, so I might be dropping steps, so let's see if this is successful.
It's cool.
Right? So door 3 will always be a different color, sort of in the red frame.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that wraps it up. Does anybody else have any questions while I'm on it?
So next week we will start with the rest of the script and the colors. And then we'll put some movement on and animation on the doors. Is that cool?
Yeah. We'll start to talk about animation and different things. So, but yeah, at least we now have we have 3 doors that change into creepy colors.
And if you, I'll set up a YouTube channel. If you just provide those links you were talking about earlier, there were some asset links. There were some use script and things like that. Maybe we can link to those. Yeah, let me toss you an email with what I think the links are. Sounds good. Okay. All right, dude. All right, thank you. All right, see you next Saturday, man. Take it easy. All right, I'll stop. Anybody else have any questions? Is anybody even watching anymore? Okay. All right. Well, then I'll pick up directly on scripting next week. I think it took me a little bit to get past the initial I'm casting jitters as well. So yeah, I'll get to it. Doors. Save. And then if you want, I mean, I can take requests too. Right, so I can, potentially do another scripting piece later. Right, got it. Yeah, I figured it would be a retread. I think that was actually a retread for Brian as well, and probably for Josh, but I was also keeping in mind that I was going to archive it. So I wanted to make sure that we didn't just jump straight through stuff. Anyway, give me some feedback on Tuesday. But let's get directly into streaming next week. Sorry, not streaming, scripting. I'm looking at my screen. All right, see you guys.